Hello, David.
Hello.
How
Thank
you
you for
doing?
calling in. Happy New Year. What's your view?
Well, I think Meghan is a manipulative social climber, and she's taken Harry hostage, and 50% of the population would agree with me.
Hang on a minute. They're in a marriage. What do you mean she's taken him hostage? He's not mentally infirm. I mean, he's clearly a lad with his own opinions. He's just written a 300 odd paid book. How could you? I mean, in what way has she taken him hostage?
Well, when Meghan first arrived on the scene in the UK, the public and the press absolutely loved her. They were 100% Meghan and Harry. Look at their wedding. There were hundreds of thousands lining the streets of Windsor. But then, as things started coming out, the press turned against her, and they found
but
out
what they
she
say
was
is
like.
that they were helped to turn against
her.
her.
With race, by the way.
They're saying they were helped to turn against, is what they're saying. Is Harry a victim?
Harry is a victim of Meghan. Yeah.
Why has he not got his own agency? I mean, this is someone who served in our armed forces. You really think he's a victim?
Meghan is the worst person Harry could be with because she hyperventilates him.
I've never seen Harry hyperventilating. He seems to be coherent. He's just written a very coherent book. He's in his own mojo, in his own agency, whatever you think about what he says. Why blame the woman behind him the whole time?
So how come Harry and Meghan have photographers and cameramen in their kitchen and living room when she's just wiping tears away, or they're all like holding their heads amazed, or when Beyonce texts them and they're all amazed? They've always got a cameraman.
It all began with one of those classic LBC moments, the kind that, honestly, perfectly captures how deeply some people still misunderstand Harry and Meghan. So, a caller phoned in, full of that same tired outrage we've heard like 1,000 times before, claiming with complete confidence that Harry is a victim to Meghan. She's hyperventilating him. Yes, those were the words. She's hyperventilating him. And honestly, it's the kind of phrase that tells you everything you need to know about how far some folks will go just to twist a woman's strength into something threatening. But then, without missing a beat, David Lammy, calm, composed, and razor-sharp as ever, shut that nonsense down with one simple line I've never seen Harry hyperventilating. That one sentence carried more weight than the caller's entire rant. Because what David did there wasn't just defend Meghan, he exposed the ridiculousness of the smear itself. Let's break down what's really happening here. That caller wasn't talking about hyperventilation in the literal sense. He was using it as a metaphor, a messy, clumsy one, to paint Meghan as some kind of domineering force who's suffocating Harry. It's a repackaged version of the same misogynistic trope the British press has been peddling since the moment Meghan walked into the royal spotlight, the manipulative woman, the controlling wife, the outsider who took the prince away. But what makes David Lammy's response so powerful is that he didn't get dragged into the weeds. He didn't start arguing over feelings or speculation. He simply pointed out the obvious. Harry has never once looked like a man being hyperventilated. He's looked like a man who finally found peace. So think back to Harry before Meghan. There was that haunted look he had during those endless royal engagements. You could see the flashes of anger at the press, and honestly, the grief of losing his mother still sat heavy behind his eyes. And then, after Meghan, you saw it, didn't you? The smile returned. There was laughter again. That sense of purpose came back. He started speaking about mental health, veterans, environmental causes, and fatherhood with real, genuine joy. That's not a man being controlled. That's actually a man being healed. So, when David Lammy calmly dismantled that caller's nonsense, he wasn't just defending Meghan. He was, in fact, holding up a mirror to the kind of people who still refuse to accept that Harry made his own choice. The idea that he's a victim of Meghan completely ignores his lifelong battle with an institution that never valued his mental well-being. It's just easier for them to blame Meghan than to face the reality that Harry left because he was suffocating inside that gilded cage long before she arrived. And this is where the hypocrisy really shines, you know. When other royal wives show emotion or assertiveness, they're called strong or modern. But when Meghan speaks up, when she defends herself or her husband, she's suddenly hyperventilating him. The double standard is, well, it's disgusting. The caller wasn't making an observation. He was echoing years of tabloid poison. David Lammy, to his credit, didn't just laugh it off. He grounded his point in reason and respect. He basically said, look, this narrative that Meghan somehow cast a spell on Harry is absurd. Harry is a grown man, a military veteran, a man who literally served in combat zones. You think someone who's faced Taliban fire is being hyperventilated by his own wife? Please, the disrespect of that assumption is enormous. This isn't the first time David Lammy has been one of the few public voices to cut through the noise with honesty. He's always understood what Meghan represents, a confident, intelligent black woman who walked into an ancient, rigid institution and refused to shrink herself. The way the press and certain commentators lost their minds over her very existence says more about them than it ever will about her. And notice the irony. The caller accused Meghan of hyperventilating Harry, yet it's the British media and their loyal defenders who are constantly the ones hyperventilating every time Meghan so much as breathes. She releases a podcast, they lose it. She launches a small lifestyle brand, they melt down. She goes to a baseball game with Harry, they act like the sky is falling. If anyone's gasping for air here, it's the people obsessed with tearing her down. David Lammy's reaction, a blend of humour and firmness, revealed something important. He's tired of the lazy narratives. He refused to give energy to the nonsense. He responded with calm authority, and in doing so, he modelled exactly how every rational person should handle Meghan's detractors, with facts, not fury. Now think about how the word victim was used in that call. Harry is a victim to Meghan. That's not concern, that's condescension. It's a way of stripping Harry of his agency, suggesting he's too weak or naive to make his own decisions. It's deeply insulting. So Harry's entire adult life has been defined by courage, from serving in Afghanistan to, publicly confronting his trauma and the media that exploited his mother's death. To label him a victim because he chose love and peace is not only cruel, it's cowardly. When Harry speaks about Meghan, you can actually hear the admiration in his voice. He calls her his teammate, his partner, his safe place. That's not victimhood, that's partnership. If anything, they rescued each other. From isolation, from constant judgment, from a system built on silence. And that's what the haters just can't handle. Because the moment Harry and Meghan stepped out of the royal machine and started thriving on their own terms, the old narrative, well, it just collapsed. The idea that Meghan took him away only makes sense to people who think Harry's happiness belongs to the monarchy. David Lammy understood that perfectly. His quick, witty dismissal, "I've never seen Harry hyperventilating," wasn't just a comeback, it was a statement. It was him saying, "Enough, we're not buying your nonsense." It was a subtle but powerful act of media literacy, seeing through the bias and refusing to let it stand unchallenged.